qualifications path, just like short, right? Just short. So this is the cloud practitioner exam. This is fundamental, right? So base level, just beginning, right? And I thought there were cables swinging behind you. It's somebody outside. This is where everybody starts. So this exam presupposes 6 months of basically kind of quasi-production level exposure to AWS. And then what happens is then it adds basically, it kind of doubles from there, right? It goes from 6 months to a year, and then it goes from a year to 2 years, right? And I'll be honest though, this is actually more like, instead of time, because I mean, like, say this, like this, for example, if I say I've been in the industry for 25 years, nobody cares. You know what I was doing 25 years ago? The only thing that I was doing 25 years ago that I'm still using today is Bash and Vim. That's it. Everything else has changed, right? I'm working on different versions of Linux. There is no such thing as big Unix anymore. There's no Solaris AIX, although someone did just ask me to teach a class on AIX, which I blew my mind, right? So don't use these as thresholds necessarily for, hey, right, I need to have done a 6-month project. There's 2 caveats and 2 dimensions, and I actually have a list that you can get to easily on my website, which I'll show you in a second. Okay. Think of this as, have you put a project in that went into production? If you have, even if it was your project, you could put your web servers out there, but preferably you're working with a team, and you're in the industry, and you've been in the industry for a little bit of time, meaning you understand what virtual machines are, and you know what programming is, and you understand what networking is. Not that you've done it, but if you put a project in to production, even if it's your project, even if it's your mom's website, then you can pass the cloud exam plus the study. That's my recommendation. If you put a project in for a customer at scale, then you can claim the year plus studying. You will study more if you don't have experience. You will study less if you have experience. Does that make sense? It's an inverse ratio, right? And then this is, you have led a team to do a project. Because if you have not led a DevOps team or architected a team into a project, you're not going to pass the DevOps exam. Because those exams, so this is light, this is medium, and this is like super, super heavy. These exams are tough. They're not easy. But this one's easy, relatively. This one's slightly harder. This one's way, way, way harder. There's an order of magnitude difference here that is not reflected in these exams. These guys are somewhere in between. These are specialty exams. So think of this as the beginner level. This is the medium level. This is the, well, we got serious level. We got really serious level. I don't even know what the number is, but it's only a couple thousand people that have professional exams. I think there's only 1,500 people worldwide that have all of these exams. So it's still relatively new. Well, the problem is that there was this phase that we went through in the industry where we were poo-pooing exams, right? It don't matter. Microsoft's not pushing their exams. Red Hat exam wasn't very popular, right? So Amazon modeled their exams like everybody else's exams, which is a trivia. It's a trivia test. It's a thinking, problem-solving, and trivia test, but it's not hands-on. The Kubernetes exam, for example, 100% hands-on. Someone's looking over your shoulder. You mess up a couple times, you fail. You're out. Right? Same with the GKE exams, right, or the Google Compute exams. They're proctored. Someone's watching you type. If you can't type, you're out. Right? You failed. So just know that we're starting here. You can easily get to here, by the way. If there's a Venn diagram, there's a lot of overlap between these exams at this level. A lot of overlap. There is not a lot of overlap with this exam. There's a lot of overlap with the networking exam. There's not a lot of overlap with big data. There's some with security. There's not a lot here. The networking one is the only one that has the other overlap. But these guys all have overlap. So once you study for this, if you're hungry to go to the next level, you should. But once you're done here, take a break. Because when you decide to go for these, you're starting over. Oh, don't worry. It leverages knowledge. So even though I have both of these, I still end up taking these. Because you get these when you take this, like you get this one when you take this one, you get this one when you take that one. Oh. So you don't have to take the associate levels exams ever again, unless you're a trainer, right? But just know, this is going to be 8 weeks of your life right here, studying. and doing the thing. It's totally worth it. It will give you more knowledge on AWS than you've ever had in your life, right? That's fine, but it's commitment.
So what's like the difference in questions that you get between the professional? Or the
So this is a trivia exam. Do you understand that Glacier is used for archival storage? Do you know that for infrequent access on S3, you got to keep it there for 30 days before you can move it out? So silly questions. Do you know what storage gateway volume can serve? iSCSI volumes is where it's file shares. Do you know the difference between cache and storage space? So those are trivia questions. These questions are, hey, guess what? We want you to write from scratch a CloudFormation template, and you notice that there's these 5 sections in there. What's missing?
Okay.
I thought that the solutions architect exam did have some of like, you showed up to a client and they want you to build.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah.
No, they both do. They both have scenario-based questions.
Okay.
They're more scenario-based. This is a trivia exam. This is a trivia plus
No,
scenario.
sorry. I was saying that the associate, I thought had some.
Had some scenario-based
Yeah.
questions, but mainly it's just trivia questions and masked as scenario.
Okay.
This one, when you read the questions, you're like, there's no clear answer. I'm a consultant. It depends, right? So you're really left kind of bewildered, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I do have a recommendation about the recommendation for how you approach the cloud practitioner exam is the exact same recommendation that you follow for any of the exams. The only difference is the exam prep guide that you use or the class that you take. It's the same steps. The only thing that changes is, do you have the experience? Have you done the work, right? So the duration may change, but otherwise it's the same steps. Let's talk. Any questions about any of that? This, regardless of whether you code or not, is the easiest of the associate exams. Regardless of whether you code or not. Like when I first, back in 2015, 2016, they were like, we need you to get certified in order, because we're now making our content official, so we need you to get certified. I was like, okay, I'll go get certified. They said, oh, go do this. I said, well, I'm not really a coder. I mean, I know Python, I know Ruby, I can write that. I'm not a product coder. I went through this exam. I didn't study for it. Right? Now, I had 7 years experience at that point for AWS. This is the hardest. This is the mid. So if you're thinking about tackling all 3, I would recommend you start here. If you just want to be a solutions architect, then just go ahead and go down the path, right? Don't worry about it. If you want to build your confidence, do a little bit, don't do what I did, study for the DevOps exam, the developer exam, and then go take it. Oh, by the way, I didn't pass with flying colors. It was like an 83 or something like that. Right? So it wasn't like amazing. Michael Forrester's so amazing. You passed the exam without studying.
What is the passing grade for all those exams? Is it 80%?
It varies. They don't tell you what the passing grade is.
Really?
Uh-huh. It changes. If a bunch of people are passing the exam, guess what happens? The number rises up. If a bunch of people are not passing the exam, number goes down. Typically, passing grade is between like 70 and 80.
Okay.
Right? I know, isn't that crazy?
They don't tell you.
They don't tell you, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Nationwide.
Oh, don't worry. When you take the prep exam, you need a 70 to pass, and that's typically true, right? Typically, because they make the exams hard enough over time to make sure a certain percentage doesn't pass.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Right. That's sobering. Just so you know, let's be thankful that it's not like the Microsoft exams back in the early 2000s. Anyone ever take those? Good. Because here's what would happen. You would start, and you'd be like, oh, I'm going to take a cloud practitioner exam. And it would say, question 1 out of 20. And you get the first one, and it'd say 2 out of 20. And then you're like the third one, you're like, eh. And you'd miss that question, and then it would say 4 out of 30.
Huh.
And then you'd miss another question, and it would say 5 out of 50.
What?
And every time you failed a question, it would add content for the question you missed to find out just how weak you were at the questions you got wrong. And you would watch the test go from 20, and the next thing you know, you're at 90 questions, which is the max. And you're like, I'm only at question 7. I just got half of these wrong. Right?
As rough as that sounds, it seems like a very clever way to suss out the weaknesses in the.
Oh, no. When you got that, no one made fun of you. Like, there was no, like, I don't know if you can really do the work. They knew that you had passed. All right, so I know I look like a farmer. This is michaelrishiforrester.com. My middle name is Rishi. My parents were hippies. Let's roll with it. All right, there's an AWS tab. My website's really simple. got a home thing that has the occasional blog that I spit out there. Do not read them; they're horrible. It has about, which has me ranting about like my systems. But the one that you're interested in is the AWS tab. Because this is what's on the AWS tab.
Cheat sheets.
That's right. But not my cheat sheets, because I'm a big believer in not reinventing the wheel, and particularly in not taking credit for it from somebody else. So if you go to AWS and you click on, for example, certs, what you will get is you will get my candid expose of how you should probably study. So for example, this is actually the email that we talked to.
So look familiar to everybody.
Yeah, so familiar. It should look exactly like what I sent to you, right? You have to have worked with the team in the IT industry. I have people come to me and they don't work in IT, and I'm like, can I get it certified? I'm like, no, you cannot, right? The second is that you have to either have spent 6 months working on AWS, which is the official recommendation, or taking at least one product into production, release status using AWS, and have it used by customers for 6 weeks. That's my recommendation. I don't care if it's your mom, I don't care if your brother, right? Your friend and brother, somebody asks you, say, oh, can you put a website up for me? Put something in production and have somebody use it. Why? Because it will teach you how to troubleshoot. The third thing is that, and this, by the way, you can replace certified cloud practitioner with certified solutions architects, associates, certified DevOps engineer. It doesn't matter, right? But you got to go look at the study guide. And then you got to go look at the sample questions. And then, if there's a course that Amazon says that you should take the course. And that sounds like straightforward. People are like, why is he being so simplistic? You need to take the course. And trust me, there'll be one thing in there that will probably answer a question for you. And you'll need that. And then, of course, the other is take the instructor-led Tech Essentials course. As of today, they don't have a cloud practitioner, of course. That doesn't mean they won't. Amazon likes to surprise us. The Tech Essentials course, by the way, is the only course that we have that will prepare you for cloud practitioner. I've hounded them to death to please come up with a cloud practitioner course. So, November, by the way, is their time when they announce all their new stuff because they like to get everybody all revved up for reInvent, right? Mm-hmm. So, I told them they should do it like the 12 days of Christmas and do it 12 weeks before. And then, of course, take an exam prep for whatever class you're taking. So I have a preferred one like for the cloud practitioner, which we're going to look at. But this should look completely, I'm sure Gene has forwarded this on to you, this should look exactly like what you've seen before, right? So just replace everything that says cloud practitioner course with your particular path, and you can pass I have passed all of the courses this way, including the DevOps Engineering Professional and the Solutions Architect Professional exams. And again, I've been doing this since November 2011, so it's a little different. And I've led teams, and I've done way too much. So make sure if you go after the professional level exams, you feel like you're immersed in AWS. Be part of a team, be part of a project, put something in production.
So even after this class, take an exam prep course.
I'm going to show you what we're talking about.
Okay.
Right? Even after this class, after you take this class, I would say the only thing that you're going to do is you're going to take the practice questions.
Okay.
It's the practice questions section. That's what we're looking for.
Okay.
And the reason I want you to do practice questions is because for example, there's been nobody in the room. There was one person I was worried about, right? There's nobody in the room who hasn't shown the capacity or the ability
Who are you worried
to pick this up. I was worried about one person in the room.
Just want to make sure.
Okay, just kidding. No, because remember, it's not necessarily about technical aptitude. It's about capacity to learn, pick up, and follow details, right? And so just having watched you guys operate and function, I know that you struggled with the labs, and that last lab probably sucks. There's something wrong with it.
And you can get it to work either?
No, I couldn't get it to function, actually. So I actually wrote AWS and said there's something wrong with the lab. Some people got it to work, but what happens is when you create the launch configuration, it throws an error. And then you retry it, and it goes forward, but then doesn't create the alarms. There's something wrong with it. Yeah. So I apologize. I don't know why it's not functioning, but it was. So we'll find out. It is my fault.
So if you didn't do number 5 before today, should you bother doing that?
Yes.
You should
It'll have one thing in it that's going to help you pass a question or 2 questions or 3 questions, so you should still do it. Remember, you want to immerse yourself. Yeah. Just repetition. Because by the time you see it, it'll talk about DynamoDB, and you'll go, yeah, Michael was up there talking about NoSQL. I got the context, right? He said, oh yeah, EBS is going to be one-to-one mountable storage. It's a virtual hard drive. I got it. If you go look at it now, it'll make more sense. When you looked at it before, you probably didn't have context. So you definitely want to go back and make sure that you're comfortable with the steps. My last step, by the way, is always do an exam prep, because I want you to pass the exam prep questions with a 95 to 98% success rate, preferably 100 every time, right? Why? Because when you get nervous, you're going to lose 10 points. And unless you're comfortable like me taking the exam questions, you're going to get nervous. I go in there, by the way, I show up in flip-flops and a Hawaiian shirt. I high-five the ladies at the Piedmont Technical Center. I'm like, hey, how you doing, Brenda? How's it going? She's like, okay, good. What's your record today? It's like, you know what? I want to go for 15 minutes. And I walk in there, crack through the exam, walk out. Woo! Right? She's like, you got an 87. Pass. Right? I've gotten called, by the way, by AWS. They were like, we've got some discrepancies on your times. How is it that you're... I was like, because I either know the answer
Or I don't.
or I don't. I'm not going to sit there and fudge it. I don't even have to look at the exam like options. I know exactly what it should say, and if it doesn't list it as an option, I just move on. I just skip the question because I don't know it, right? And and I probably will take a guess and move on. But I want you to do the exam questions, which we're going to do today. We're going to review some exam questions because more importantly, in case you didn't hear this, you all are capable of passing the exam. There's nobody here.
About you, Dennis, for a second.
I'm still worried about Dennis, but for different reasons, right?
Trust me, there's a team.
And let me just say this: I would pull you aside and let you know that I don't think you can pass the exam, right?
Go get a secure place.
So if I haven't pulled you aside, well, maybe Tommy.
That's because my skill set's not updated.
But you have to go back through these steps and make sure you got them down. In particular, right? Make sure you're comfortable with the projects. Try to put something in production. Go through the exam guide, go through the study guide, and make sure you take one of the exam prep, like the questions, the practice exams. And I'll amend that to make sure it says that. It's the practice exams. But if you click on this link, right, it'll take you to the practice exams, which we're going to look at. And I want to teach you how to think about it, because now that I've kind of level set you, right, and said, I know for a fact that you guys can pass, it's now going to be up to you to just do the last little remaining work to get there. These are all Udemy practice questions. You have unfettered access to Udemy, and by the way, it'll run on your phone. So you're out shopping, right, waiting around, pick through the questions. They don't work offline, by the way. I don't know why. They just don't. So we're going to run through that. Now, I highly recommend that you put pressure on yourself by signing up for an exam. You can move it. Let's say something happens and you lose a week. You can move it out a week. You just don't wait the morning up, right? But I highly recommend that you schedule your exam, run your voucher, put it in, pick your testing center, go through the whole process, schedule it, pick a time and date, and then put that on your calendar and then start putting reminders. Oh, I got a week. I got 2 weeks. I'm going to take this cloud practitioner exam. Oh, I got 3 weeks. I'm going to take architect exam. Don't let yourself off the hook if you want to do it. Because if you don't do this step, it means you don't want to do it. And that's totally fine. But then don't waste your time studying at that point. You're not going to do it. Just don't bother, right? Schedule down the road. And then rejoice. Rejoice, for you are now certified in AWS. So the certifications last for 2 years, depending on which one you have. And the professional exams will give you the associate exams. So you can either recertify, or you can go up a level and get all the previous exams. So, well, you know which one they want. They want you to research. They want you to go up a level. So, like, for example, I've got a few of my recommendations here. So let's pick one. Let's pick the cloud practitioner exam.
Wait a minute. Sorry. Never mind.
Was that for me?
No.
Okay.
I'm confused.
Oh wow, that one didn't work. Maybe I clicked on the wrong one.
So all these exams, listen, so you have to recertify in about 2 years.
Every 2 years, yeah. And honestly, they're probably going to shorten it.
Really?
Because they're doing 5,200 deploys a day or something ridiculous, like corrections a day, right? So, yes.
I was gonna say, so we have access partner network? Are there any other resources on the, Amazon, the AWS partner network you would recommend?
No,
No?
not necessarily. If this was a DevOps or the solutions professional class, I have recommendations. But for the cloud practitioner one, I would just start this simple. Yeah. All right, look, I get to air my dirty laundry here. Look at that. All right, so this is the cloud practitioner test. This is the one that's on Udemy. I did verify, by the way. I think Gina and I verified that you have access to this, right? There's 6 possible tests that you can take. This is the first one. 65 questions, 90 minutes, right? And by the way, when you start it runs a timer. You need a 70%. But in case you missed this earlier, that 70% can go up or down depending on who's passing the exam. If a bunch of people are passing the exam, the number goes up, right? But typically it's 70%. That's what they'll tell you. It's 70. So this would be a passing exam. So I got 57 out of the 65 questions correct. My prior attempts, I think I got like an 84 or something, right? So once you go in and you take the questions, and by the way, you can just skim through them if you want to get to this. Once you're done on Udemy taking the questions, what will happen is you will get an option to review questions. It's attempt 2. Now, here's the cool thing. Let's just say, and by the way, this is the weird skipping thing that threw me off. It should not allow me to continue unless I put an answer in. And for whatever reason, it was hyper-clicking past questions. And it doesn't even say continue, by the way, until you answer a question. So how did I skip them? It weirded me out really badly. So be mindful of that. But let's say incorrect questions. Question number 48. Company wants to introduce a new product to a customer. They're expecting high traffic to their web application as part of the enterprise support plan. Which of the following could provide them with architectural and scaling guidance? By the way, did we talk about support plans? We didn't. You know why? Because it's not in the official coursework. You know why? Because it's a Tech Essentials class. It's the only class we have to teach you about Cloud Practitioner. But there apparently are some additional subjects. So when you saw this question, what would be your first thought if we didn't cover it in class?
AWS management support?
Well, not necessarily answer. What would this spur you possibly to do? You probably need to go find out about enterprise support plans. And it's in the docs, right? Which is also on that page, my page, which we'll go back to in a second. See, the questions can also teach you what it is that perhaps you may not know. By the way, the people who write these exams have photographic memories.
Are you serious?
Yeah, for the most part, they have photographic memories. They go back and they write the questions down. I don't have a photographic memory.
Oh, you're talking about the people that write the treatment.
Yeah.
I thought you meant the original
Well,
writers.
Amazon doesn't have an issue with this, by the way. They know it's out there, right? They even recommend them themselves.
Sounds like
Right.
the old test king, remember?
Yeah, I remember testing. That was horrible.
Exactly.
Right? So, like I said, the support concierge service, because quite frankly, I don't have the enterprise support stuff memorized. I just don't. I don't deal with that, right? And it turns out there's an infrastructure event management service that comes with enterprise support plan, which allows you to basically do things like architectural and scaling guidance. You're going to learn more from the questions you get wrong, right? By the way, if you guess on a question, you might also want to go back and look at that one. But here's the great thing about this. It doesn't just tell you what you got right and wrong. It tells you why they're right or wrong. Option B is not correct because this is bogus. The API, by the way, provides access to an API. It's not going to give you architecture and scaling guidance. That doesn't even make sense. Option D is not correct because the support concierge is going to help you with support problems such as account issues and billing issues. Do you see now how this might help you fill in your gaps? Right? Because you've taken the class, so you know that I've given you all the information and detail that I have. And by the way, you know what's even better? The documentation link at the bottom. So if you don't know about premium support, if you don't feel like you got it, click the link. Go look at it. Go read it. Do you need to memorize everything on there? No. No, but you need to have at least seen it. Remember, this is not a 100% pass test. This is, do you know how to do things on Amazon or find out how to do things on Amazon. So you just need to retain enough knowledge to know how to answer these questions when you're having a conversation with somebody. So now you know, by the way, enterprise support comes with the infrastructure event management, right? Does that make sense to everybody? We're going to teach you how to think about it as much as like retaining the knowledge itself. All right, look at this. So by the way, I can tell you why I got this one wrong, because this is the other key thing. This is the way it used to be. You could not run a penetration test on Amazon without first contacting support and saying, hey, I'd like to run a penetration test. They'd say when, for how long, what's the source IP addresses. You just send them all this information. That's what it is now. By the way, I looked this up. This is valid. It basically like, hey, for these services, come at me, bro. I can take you, right? And they list a list of services they don't care about. They're like Honey Badger. I don't even care. Go ahead and attack me. I can take it. Without prior approval for 8 services. So then you scroll down, guess what you see? Well, other than, Michael not able to scroll down, right? Is it tells you can attack EC2, databases, CloudFront, Aurora, which is just a part of RDS, any of the API gateways, which is basically just an elastic load balancer, Lambda, because Lambda will auto-scale, Lightsail, because that's an EC2 instance, and then Beanstalk, because that's an EC2 instance, right? And they're like, yeah, you can test any of these things. Do you see EKS or ECS on there? No. So basically anything that has either RDS, CloudFront, or an EC2 instance, go to town. All the load balancers as well. So now, we've learned that you can conduct penetration tests against any of these 8 services. There's the reference link. One more, and then I'm going to let this go. I just want to make sure that we're driving this home. Companies decided to migrate to the AWS cloud. They want to reduce costs as much as possible. What's the main factor when choosing the instance type of services, right? I'm sitting there thinking, oh, well, I'm kind of curious as to whether or not you have Oracle or not. But I misread the question. They want you to reduce costs as much as possible. You know how you reduce costs? You right-size in migration. You've all done this, right? Someone's come to you and said, hey, I want to move this whole server. Hey, you know the server's only 10% utilized? Would you like to use a server that's 40% utilized? Can we go to half the size of the system you have? I'll give you some growing room. So I didn't consider like the resource consumption piece, right? And then of course Amazon, the Udemy test basically says, hey, look at this. Tells you exactly why, right?
They're easy to set up, deploy, and manage. It sounds like marketing.
You're drinking the AWS Kool-Aid. There's no getting out now. It's too late for that. Yeah, let's do one more. I thought this was interesting also. Again, an example of where I was like, oh, that's weird. I don't even know. Is there a service? Here's the question. Which of the following services allow you to manage your agreements with AWS? Now, I've signed enterprise agreements with AWS. But apparently, they have a brand new service. It's called Artifacts. Artifacts allows you to manage your enterprise agreements, RIs, compliance documentation, reports, PCI compliance, SOC reports, ISO security stuff, all day long. I was like, I didn't even know that existed. I was like, must be organizations. I don't remember there being anything in organizations for this. But I was like, oh, it must be organizations. I know it's not these two. Those are our tech services. Are you following me? Can you imagine doing this for 390 questions? Do you feel like you might have all of your gaps filled out? Because you all have the competency, in case you missed that, by the way. Unless I pulled you aside and said you need to do this, this, and this, you all have the competency to pass the exam. Okay? So this is available to you. I will actually send a follow-up email next week reinforcing some of these components, right? But you have this on my website, which is michaelrishiforrester.com. Assuming I can get out of this.
Jean, do we have access to Udemy for free?
Yes, yeah.
what is the URL? Because I can't find anything about it.
You have to click his URL.
It's degree.bio.com.
I tried that. But
The fucking site doesn't work.
if you go through Degree,
Pardon
I haven't been
Yeah.
about it.
if you
It
go
took
through
me
the,
to, it
if you
didn't
go
take
through
me
the
to
Degree,
He's translate, what?
sorry, if you go through Degree, you can look for the Udemy link through that as an option for I think external resources. I just went through the process just now.
All right, degree.com.
Once you get there, it's bot.udemy.com, but you can sign in using SSO first. Once you've signed in using SSO, you're on Degree now.
Yep, help find us so that Amy and I can know what's that.
and when I type in search Udemy,
Let me go back actually first, and I can try to walk through this.
Yeah, because it's $10 if you don't
Yeah,
go
if
through.
you don't go,
If you don't go
for
through.
every class, right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Sorry, I have too many things open.
So where did you go first? You went to degree.bio.com?
Degree.bio.com.
Okay, so under Degree,
Uh-huh.
Those links that you're gonna provide us.
Degree to
with,
degree.
you're going to that
Degree.
big sheet of like,
How did I get
is that on your
I
site?
found it
or
off
is
by
it saying
accident,
that-
but there's
The
a,
one that I was just going through just now?
No, like yesterday, and
Go-
like yesterday in the past, like, oh, if I wanna have this
What?
much RAM, this
Browse?
CPU, this is what they say. Yeah, like,
Oh,
you
yeah,
might
yeah.
have those links as well.
Yeah, I
or-
just-
I can, absolutely, if you, and I will gladly do so. That's
ec2instances.info?
Yeah. Yeah, ec2instances.info.
I have the link, Amy, I'm just gonna send it to you.
Okay.
I just found it.
Great, so
one little caveat with Udemy though, once you've signed in using SSO, go to your account, you can set a password there, and you'll have an independent password for your Booz Allen account. That doesn't have to be your Booz Allen password.
Anybody else want it?
That lets you log in via your phone or anywhere else.
Yeah, I just went to the Udemy site and put in.
The reason why, because I logged in, I used my Booz Allen email, I went straight to Udemy, I put my Booz Allen, and it's charging me for everything.
Did you send the link?
Right,
Oh, you want
so,
me to send
yeah.
it to everyone?
So you need to go to, try this,
Yeah.
try
Everybody log in
bah.udemy.com.
as Dennis.
Yeah, here we go. As requested.
So you're still on
Sorry,
the
guys,
Degree site
just,
there.
I don't respond back here.
All you're doing is that you're
Just
looking
to
at this
be
site,
aware
it's
of
like,
the
is that,
principals on this
provided
email,
or-
'cause I told
There
them
you
I
go.
submitted to him. too.
Yeah.
There you
So I was
go.
looking
Well,
at
and I'm recording
Zero
this.
You're right, okay. Bot.udemy.com, and you're right.
Now that you're signed in via SSO, you can
Right.
actually go to your account and change the password without putting your current password in, because you don't have a password right now, and signing in with Booz Allen SSO.
Yeah, you're all being recorded.
Oh, you're right.
If you set the independent password, you can log in with your phone and everything else without using SSO.